On behalf of 1.5 million people here in the city of Philadelphia, we also express our deepest sorrow. We will do everything we can to assist families who have loved ones on that particular train, and whatever their circumstance and condition, but certainly with the 6 confirmed deceased, we are heartbroken at what has happened here.
Another police shooting of an unarmed man has a region on edge, another transportation disaster in America that likely could have been prevented, and another reason why people either hate lawyers or wish the youth of this country would buckle up and stop whining their way to adulthood. Ah, yes, the arena is open for business. Welcome back, veteran syndicated radio talker, proud Brooklyn son, founder of the epic internet content platform Epic Times, Jerry Doyle, joined by award-winning broadcast journalist, best-selling author, proud Manhattan daughter, founder of JaneUnchained.com, Jane Velez-Mitchell. Thank you both for joining us today.
Good to be here.
All right, guys, all 3 of us have been on these trains before. We all know what it's like to run this mass transit here. The story coming out now is that apparently investigators say early on that this train was doing 100 miles an hour when it should have been doing 50 miles an hour. So we're looking at human error. Simple question then people want to put forward. Is it time to put more money into this infrastructure, Jerry, and make these trains automated, take the human element out of it?
Well, this morning after we heard the gratuitous thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families, nobody knew what the problem was or what the cause of the accident was, as tragic as it is. But they all knew what the answer was. Every congressman and woman came forward going, more money, more money, more money. Oh, Mike McCall, the House chair of the Republican side of the aisle, said that this was not terrorist related. Really? How about congressional terrorism? Because Congress has done more damage to this country than ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and Al-Shabaab combined. All I hear these people talking about is infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And they're talking about more money, more money, more money. And they're talking about long-term planning. And then they went from a train wreck to raising the gas taxes. Now, when I look at how this leap of illogic takes place, it's important that we have good infrastructure, that we have good roads. The Highway Trust Fund, that money runs out at the end of May. The House and the Senate don't have a vote scheduled on that yet, and there's been 32 short-term extensions in the last 6 years. So while as much as I appreciate their thoughts and prayers going out to the families, how about Congress actually does its job with regard to infrastructure?
Jane, I'll tell you what, Jerry hits this one right on the nose because there is so much waste sitting out there. There's so much money that could be used for this, and every time we hear something like this, every lawmaker says, where's the money, Mr. President? I want to look the lawmakers in the eye and say, why aren't you doing your job?
I couldn't agree more. This is the Northeast Corridor. This is the center of the financial universe. This is the powerhouse of politics. Why on earth don't we have an incredible system that matches the Japanese bullet trains that have an incredible safety record? Now, there was a master plan that I was reading online that they published in 2010 with incredible graphics showing all sorts of high-tech, futuristic trains. Where are they? I take this line all the time. Just took it the other day. When you're in Penn Station, you feel like you're in the 19th century. Clapboards coming down. Everybody's racing to find out where the next train is coming from. It's like something out of the 19th century. So we can spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, torturing baby monkeys and doing ridiculous maternal deprivation experiments, but we can't provide a high-tech infrastructure between Washington, D.C. and New York City, the 2 most important cities in the entire world. Our government is completely broken.
Jerry, get it to you now because I got to follow up on this. We got so much more, but this is way too good to stay with right now. Simply put, we keep putting these people in office. We keep electing them. They keep saying the same things over and over again. Come on now, Jerry, how do we stop this thing from going? This is a merry-go-round. We can't seem to get off this.
Well, we keep rewarding bad behavior by sending the same idiots and the same cockroaches back to Capitol Hill. What happens is when a problem arises, they'll all go to the cameras like moths to the fame flame, and they'll come out and they'll say, we need more money, we need more money. We don't need more money in the system, we need less system in the money. And when I look at these gratuitous, self-serving politicians on TV today, it's the same thing that happened in the aftermath of the massacre at Sandy Hook. Everybody came forward to go in thoughts and prayers. And what we need to do is take a look at, and we need to take a look at mental health issues. issues in America, which we do because we shrunk psychiatric beds by over 1 million in the last 50 years because Congress siphoned money off for other pet projects of theirs. But when you take a look at mental health, the Senate Help Committee, which was chaired by Tom Harkin, he came forward after Sandy Hook and said, you know, we really have to have hearings on this, and we have to get to the bottom of this, and we have to take a look at mental health in America. Well, Tom Harkin was the head of the committee that was responsible for mental health in America. And before Sandy Hook, they hadn't had one meeting in 6 years.
Very good point. No, really very good point. 30 seconds, Jane. We got to take a break. Is it time for somebody to go up to one of these politicians and say, stop telling me about prayers and tell me about action?
We need a new party. We need a new political party, and I've already got a name, the Solutionary Party, because we have become morally bankrupt. This is all a big game, all pork projects, and we need people to come into office and say, it's obvious, we need the best mass transit in the Northeast Corridor, the engine of our economic system.
All right, I'm with you. It's going to be Doyle, Mitchell, and Berliner. Oh, my sweet God, are we in trouble? But the country's going to get a lot better for it. Stick around. MidPoint's right back. Back inside the arena, veteran syndicated radio talker, founder of Epic Times, Jerry Doyle, award-winning broadcast journalist, best-selling author, founder of JaneUnchained.com, Jane Velez-Mitchell. Here we go with something that has everybody shocked this morning. Pew has a brand new survey out that looks at religion in America. 48% of gay Americans identify as Christian. Within that group, 29% Protestant, 70% identified as Catholic. Wait a minute, Jane. Didn't they tell us that Christians and gays aren't supposed to get along at all?
Well, I'm gay and I'm Christian, so there you go. They didn't survey me, but they could have. And so what I think is wonderful is that this Pope is opening his arms, and he's actually said things to the effect of, if somebody is gay, but they believe in God and they are of good faith, who am I to judge?
Do you think, though, people... Do you think, though, people will really get it, though, Jane? I mean, that's the whole thing. The Pope is saying it. The numbers say it. But you're speaking to Christians who will look you in the eye anytime, and they will say, no, 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 this can't be right. Absolutely not. This can't be.
I think it's really important to go back to the basics of the Christian faith. I just read the book Zealot, which is an historical account of the life of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ was all about kindness and compassion. Let's not forget that. Let's go back to the real person, Jesus Christ, and what his message was. And I felt that after reading that book, I had a lot in common with his values. And that's one of the things that I celebrate in being a Christian in that sense. Identifying with the person, not all the mumbo jumbo that other people have put on top of this religion.
Jerry, are we really looking at a time of major shifting change in religion in this country? Because you have other people who say they don't identify with any religion whatsoever. And now we're finding out that almost half of gay Americans are Christian. A lot of this flies in the face of what we've been told, but it looks as if there's a little bit of a reformation going on here.
I think it would have been more shocking if they had came out with results that said half of all Christians are gay. I mean, half of gays are Christians to me is a non-event. I mean, okay, I say
well, that's
good.
just it. It is supposed. It should be a non-event, right?
It's a non-event. It's okay, so half of them are Christian and some of them are Protestants and some of them are Jews and some of them are whatever. You know, it all gets back to the more inclusionary nature of what religion has to be, what government has to be, what society has to be. Because what we've seen over the last 25, 30 years is this polarization and this almost segregation where people are being lumped into these gate-guarded ideological communities where you have to be that and I'm this and we can't talk. But as Jane was pointing out with the Pope, I think the Pope's cool. Pope Francis gets it. I mean, he's got the right attitude. He said sermons shouldn't be boring. We should reach out. We should be more inclusive. And Pope Francis is going a long way towards doing that. So the poll results don't shock me. What's shocking me are the people who want to cling to the traditions of the past, but yet today they allow themselves to be buffet believers and pick and choose what they like and don't.
All right, let's look at something else here, which is interesting. In Dallas, Pennsylvania, a nursing student says anxiety and depression made it difficult for her to concentrate. She has sued the university after twice failing a required course. Jerry, I'm sorry. I'm going to get hammered for this, but I know. Will you please just lady up, for crying out loud? Stop blaming somebody else. This is why the lawyers are all tied up in the courts with ridiculous lawsuits. You failed. Do it again. Learn.
That's what I had to do when I came home with my 0.8 grade point average my first semester in college. I got A's and 2 F's, and I said to my mom, it's obvious I concentrated too much in one subject. Look, you screwed up. You take the courses over. You do it again, and that's just the way it is. But unfortunately, we're infantilizing an entire nation of millennials by coddling them and protecting them and bubble wrapping them and keeping them from realities. You didn't study, or you had anxiety. Get over what?
Wait a minute. Go ahead, Jane.
Depression is a real thing. You know, depression, anxiety, if she was suffering from mental health issues, that has to be taken seriously. You can't just say, hey,
but
snap out of it.
We're not talking about that.
That kind of mentality is what led to Sandy Hook.
Jane, I don't think anybody is saying that if she suffers from depression, we're not knocking that. Yes, it is a real thing. Yeah. But to say that you got failed twice and to blame the university for it, where does the responsibility come in for the individual?
Maybe what you do is you drop out of school, you get treatment, and you go back to school.
She wanted more time because she was... Well, you know, it's easy for us to make rules. All I'm saying is that I think that to just, you know, have that snap out of it approach, you know, oh, you know, you're just lazy, you're not really depressed. I think that's missing the point. Depression is a very real thing. Anxiety is very real. And they should have facilitated her getting help and allowed her to do a leave of absence and really get okay before she took the test again.
Well, we need to point out, too, that she says anxiety and depression. You're talking about depression where somebody has been diagnosed. We don't know that that's actually happened here. Okay.
Good point. Yeah.
So we do have to take.
I think we're getting softer as a society.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the chicken or the salmonella egg which came first, but it seems as if we are starting to get rid of our edges. That we're starting to find a lot of excuses for things that used to be called a 4-letter word: life.
All right. Well, nobody has excuses here. That's why we bring the two of you together, and we have this all the time. Jane Velez-Mitchell and Jerry Doyle. Always a pleasure to have the two of you on the show. Please be safe, Jane especially. Careful up there as well. We'll talk to you both real soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. After the break, we will look at the Amtrak train crash. The news that came out of social media captivated a nation and a world. We'll look at some of those that came out on social media next here on MidPoint.